Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and before we start saying anything today, I just want to wish you all a happy Lunar New Year. Yeah, it's finally that time. It is time for another New Year's. I feel like we just had a New Year's. I don't know. But of course, I am talking about the Lunar New Year, the Korean New Year, or the Chinese New Year, and I don't think I've made any mistakes about that, but it's okay because as a YouTuber, you have the wonderful thing called YouTube comments where everything will be corrected whether you look at it or not. So there you go. But you may have noticed that title. Yeah, I'm getting into this. So let's cue some music because it is thematically important. Because very recently look, last night we got some information dropped on for the global side, which is kind of interesting. I really can't tell anymore when global news drops, but obviously YouTube videos are a little bit different. And finally we got some information on the Chinese New Year event, or Lunar New Year, or whatever the hell they're calling it. The point here is that we've got the details about not only, some stuff from the event, as well as the limited time trial boss, but the new units, Qin as well as Baihu and Zuokui, which I'm not even going to pretend that I can pronounce that properly, but I gave it my best shot. So you have to give me credit on both fronts for acknowledging my weakness, yet giving it a shot anyway. We have learned about the step-ups, and we've also learned about the 7-star awakenings for the old lunar units, including Yun, Chao, and Ang. So, what is there to be said? Well, if you notice the title of this video, I'm not really here to talk about these units specifically. Instead, I'm here to talk about marketing and as well as selling things. So, yeah, kick back and relax because this one is going to be a little mean, to be totally honest, and it may not be as mean, but I think we should give that disclaimer out now. Because I'm definitely not here to talk nice when it comes to marketing specifically, and I'm no kind of marketing expert. I have taken some degree or some schooling in business as well as just a little bit of marketing, so I do know some stuff about it, but I am no kind of PhD or anything like that. That is not my big thing, so I'm just going to give my take on it. But I definitely did work in sales for many years before starting my YouTube or coming to Japan or anything like that, so I do have a little bit of an idea of how sales works. There's always, of course, the before and the after part of the sale, making sure that you can give the customer the information, create the desire for the actual need, and then make sure that they follow through with their purchase. But of course, the part that people tend to think about is the after part of the sale, which is pretty interesting too, which is just making sure that the customer is happy, feels happy afterward, and you validate their purchase. So yeah, there's a lot to do with sales and marketing. Of course there is. So yeah, this video is why basically Alim and Gumi both suck at marketing as well as sales. Because recently, there is this magical time of the year, and it is not Valentine's Day at this point. It is basically the end of the fiscal year, which is a fun word to say and a funner word to read. Fiscal is a big time of the year for any business as well as any product, particularly a product that may have something to prove to the bigger higher-ups in its own company. Take, for instance, Alim and Gumi. Right now, they have to answer to Square Enix executives. At the end of the fiscal year, a bunch of bean counters will basically take a look at the revenue as well as the cost of this organization or this phone game and decide whether or not it's worth continuing or whether they should shut it down. Now, do I think that that's any kind of danger for Brave Exvius this year? No, I don't think so. It would be a great surprise, Happy New Year kind of surprise, but at the end of the fiscal year, basically there is kind of a big push of companies to try and, bolster their numbers, say how well they've done, as well as try and get extra sales before the end of the year to try and make sure that there is a good performance review at the end. Again, I've talked about this many times, but recently both Gumi and Alim seem to be under a little bit of the microscope when it comes to Alim looking in on their operations. The big clue was last year when we found out about just that apparently Alim, the main producer was willing to come out and say, yeah, we can't give out as many 3 and 4 star tickets anymore because the executives won't let us. And that is very clearly a sign that things are changing. And as well, that Square Enix higher-ups are really taking a look at their business end of stuff. Brave Exvius has to perform well and has to make more money by the sounds of it. Hence why that we've been seeing on the JP side basically more gut-clenching kind of step-ups. So while I've talked about this before, the 50k step-up is generally a good value, but it is such a monetary investment for most people that it will probably not be super good. But again, Alim is basically trying everything that they can with the step-ups on the JP side, trying to get people to, seeing what will work, what works better, what doesn't work so well, what people are interested in, what people aren't interested in. They're still trying to sell the units. But needless to say, there's been a lot of issues on the JP side in terms of marketing as well as engaging their customer. Recently, it doesn't feel so much like people are as interested. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of pieces of evidence that I have for that. One, a number of JP players are just stopping playing, and I'm talking about English players, but it is still something to remember. This is a sign that this is pretty late in the game's lifespan, and there isn't a super amount of incentive for a lot of people to keep playing. So, yeah. Maybe right now they just want to pack up and move on. But it is a sign that a little bit of danger for Alim and something that they should probably be a little concerned about. Again, not a huge amount, but it is something to notice. Now, with that being said, it feels like there has been a ton of marketing snafus as well as information give-outs, and more than anything, these seem to happen more often in their own official live streams than anywhere else. While some in-game releases such as Cloud's Super TMR during the Kingdom Hearts event was, adjusted in a later post, which may have been intentional or not intentional, based on community reaction, it is a sign that there was some misinformation. More importantly is just the bad marketing that has been recently happening. And for the specific unit I want to talk about, it's actually Firion. Firion is a unit where, well, this isn't Firion. Let's just go down a little more. Firion is a unit that is pretty darn interesting, if I'm being totally honest. He's actually piqued my interest a couple times, but I'm not spending money on it. I'm trying to spend as little money as possible on Brave Exvius this year, so yeah, pass on this one. But something that was a big concern to me leading up to it was, wait, why does Firion not have a ton of his other killers? Now, it could have been misinformation or not really highlighted information in the live stream, but it seems so weird to take a unit that is one of his big things as a 3-star was that he had a lot of capability in a lot of different situations and kind of just highlight the fact that he is now a specific kind of killer unit, which I get it. The big thing is that, he can do these things particularly well, but not telling us about the other things definitely deflated my hype, which didn't really translate well into my videos, which now leaves us with an FF2 event, which is pretty mediocre, to say the least, if not for other reasons. But Firion was a unit that felt really easy to pass on just because I didn't have any hype leading into it, and by the time I got the information, I had already decided to pass. So, yeah. It's a bit of a shame when it comes right down to it, but this is something that we've seen before. There have been times where Alim has had misinformation about characters. Beowulf is another one that comes to mind. Beowulf back at the time was said to have the strongest debuff in the game, which was something that was not true once we found the data. Again, changed or not, obviously Brave Exvius has the liberty to change stuff before it comes out, but it's false information or misinformation, or it's just generally bad form. Needless to say, I don't think that Alim has been particularly successful about marketing recently. The days just don't feel quite the same so far ever since CG Lightning or Axstar has come along. Most people still have Axstar as their main unit, or specifically key easier units that were, just easier to get. Taking example of Kimono Ayaka, or Fina, sorry, wrong blonde from Brave Exvius. Kimono Fina is a unit that is more, out there than Terra on my friend list. Also, a whole bunch of older units are. This could be a sign that people just aren't super interested in the current units. It could be that, well, let's face it, Axstar is still good, why not upgrade? But if the marketing isn't there to really be exciting for anything, then this is definitely a sign that marketing is not being done super well, and neither are sales. Looking at the GL side, the global side, it feels very much the same. Brave, some of the live streams don't have the proper information, some of the live streams don't address the proper things that the community is interested in, potentially because maybe they can't, but it doesn't really make for good marketing. But Global has just kind of this different problem than JP, and I guess you could say, in that sense, they are different games. Hey, we got a meme in there. Anyway, Global has had so many limited time banners that it is just kind of fatiguing to the extreme. Looking at over Christmas was obviously a huge amount of limited time banners back to back, and now we have already had the Star Ocean banner, and we are coming into Chinese New Year. It is a pretty heavy amount of banners that are just limited time, get it now or you're fucked forever. Maybe, because who knows when limited time prisms will show up. And that is actually a thing still. Yes, that is a thing. And I will continue to say it is a thing. But Global seems to be on the marketing idea of limited time, limited time, limited time, limited time. And when everything is limited time, to quote Syndrome, in this case it actually is still limited time, because it's only available for a certain amount of time, and with so many limited time banners, yeah, stuff is still limited. Stuff you can only get for so much time, but it does light a fire under people's butts. The problem is that it gets annoying after a while. It does remind me of a place where I worked where every week there was a sale, and it's like, eventually they kept telling me, hey, you need to make people excited about a sale. Our customers know we have a sale every week. It's pretty hard to motivate them to buy the stuff that's just going to be on sale 3 weeks later. It's hard to write light urgency when everything is like that. Taking a look at the new units, though, as well as a whole bunch of units in the past that are global exclusives, and this is something that I'm going to say before I continue this train of thought. First of all, I actually do think global units are really, really cool. I'm not here to argue that point. I think you guys on Global have a lot of really cool, powerful units. My problem is that they are actually getting on the side of just being too powerful, out power creeping the JP side. Does it mean that content will be easier for you in the future? Yeah, but I mean, unit design just doesn't seem to be Gummy's strong point. Take Quinn, for example, or Qin, the new Chinese New Year unit who is a bard. This is pretty funny for a couple of reasons, and yes, I know I'm obviously referring a little bit to the fact that whoever the guy is in this video did not have much information about Brave Exvius, and probably doesn't know very much about the game, so why is he doing it? You could probably find someone else to do this advertising for you, who could do a much better job and hype stuff better. Because, yeah, you do need hype around these units to try and sell them. I get that. But the undercover musician of Qin, man, does it just feel like Gummy didn't really know what to do to make bards better, so they just said, fuck it, make them do everything. And that was the end of the debate, kind of. The strongest bard in the game, not that that's saying much, even a little bit. Recovery, boost immunities, debuffing, damage effects, similar singing abilities, but the effect refreshes every turn, which I think makes sense. If you're singing every turn, you can't really dispel it, as it should just, so long as the person is singing, it should just come back. Okay, that's fine. Some abilities cause longer lasting effects after the performance ends. AoE chaining ability upon ending some abilities, and also gives units chaining abilities. And he has DR chaining, he has CW chaining, he has Octoslash, AT. He can also do your dishes, he can do your laundry, he cleans the floors, he acts as a pet. He also will, oh well, we can't say that, there might be children watching, but needless to say, you might have a happy new year. Point here is that kin is just kind of the poignant thing of bad design in the opposite direction, which is probably good for the players. If kin is really this strong, it's great for anybody who wants to try and get him and needs that kind of buff unit who doesn't already have CG Nickel, because CG Nickel will probably be better than this anyway, so whatever. But the point is that Gumi is just getting to the point of just being like, making the units so incredibly powerful with such incredible TMRs and super TMRs that people feel like they have to get them, which I have to admit is effective, if not a little sleazy. But hey, in the world of business, businesses are not here to be your friends, they're here to make money. And in that point, I think that this is essentially, you know, the best you can make a bard. Literally so much so that it doesn't feel like this bard has any identity. It feels like this isn't even a bard anymore. It feels like a chainer with support abilities, which is something we have on the JP side, but also throwing the 5th Nirvana Harp, which has 194 attack, as well as spirit and defense boost when your HP drops, and it also has, you know, boost your HP and MP. I mean, why doesn't it just do your taxes at this point, Gumi? You might as well have just thrown everything in there. I don't think that it is bad for the players, but I do think it is bad design because they couldn't make a bard really unique and distinct enough that it would have been good anyway. Instead, they have to give it a whole bunch of roles that everyone else could do, like DPS and whatnot. I don't particularly think that kin is a particularly exciting unit design for a whole bunch of reasons. I do think that he will be good value for anybody who tries for him, as well as getting his super TMR, but that's the point of this. It's just to make money off of you guys. And if the bait is good, I can't really complain about it, but I don't think that the unit design is good because you just took a bard and slapped a whole bunch of stuff on it. The only thing that's really truly a bard upgrade here is, you know, refreshing that song every turn. Could have just made an incredibly tanky bard. That would have been an idea. So that they don't die. Whatever. But needless to say, I think that kin is sounding really good, but only because they had no idea what way to go with him. And so they gave him everything, as well as a new set of tires. Then there's Baihu and Zukui, a first 2-in-1 unit based on the Tiger and Crane martial arts style. A dual passive unit, physical attacker and magical using spirit scaling, probably Lila / Chocobo Fina for JP players who might be watching this. Debuff and buffing abilities, W ability, set up skill to unlock Q ability, chains and finishes with different moves, fire, wind, lightning, earth, and heart chaining elements, as well as DR, Octo / chaining, as well as a whole bunch of cooldown abilities that do a whole bunch of different things and blah 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 blah. Saint's Aura, a basically spirit, HP, MP, attack, and spirit, restore HP, and Celestial Bandages, a fist unit, a fist super TMR with 155 spirit, 90 attack, some other stuff on it. Baihu and Zukui is another example of a unit that is obviously being advertised as something, but doesn't sound like anything special. It just sounds like an attacker-based unit. I really don't know about this dual playstyle thing. It's one of those things that sounds like a whole bunch of buzzwords to get people to buy it, and then you realize, oh shit, it's just a damage unit. There is no interesting mechanics at this point in Brave Exvius. We can't get blue magic, we know that. We cannot get necessarily, I guess, a dual style unit. What would be interesting is a unit that you could swap between turns, or some kind of mechanic. But that doesn't seem to be present here. Again, they just have made a different style of attacker that can potentially, I guess, use attack as well as spirit. Needless to say that the marketing here just left me kind of confused more than anything. And to that extent, Baihu and Zukui, I just don't know if I'm excited. And I'm not going to talk about the step up because the step up is meh, but 7-star awakenings. This is something where I'm potentially a little scared about. So talking about the Super TMRs, Yun's Super TMR is a materia, boost attack by 40% when equipped with a short sword, whip, mace, or fist, and boost attack when armed with a two-handed weapon. So basically a lot of extra attack. Chow, boost spirit by 80% when equipped with a robe, HP and MP by 20%. Okay. Sharpshooter from Aang, which is a materia, boost attack by 60% when equipped with a bow, and boost equip attack when single-handed. So basically true dual wield. In terms of bows, yeah, bows could pretty much use support, and bows are almost always true dual wield. Or true dual hand, I should say, except for the Tinkerer Carries bow. But for the most part, bows are just that. They're true dual hands, so I'm not overly frightened about this. Chow and Yun potentially show just how quickly the power creep is advancing. It may be on limited time units, but they are a significant jump in Super TMRs. I can't even think of a Super TMR on the JP side that has that much spirit on a materia, as well as HP and MP. It is, especially for a pretty low bar. Oh, equip a robe. Well, it's a good thing no robes have incredibly high spirit. Again, really, it just feels like after so many limited time units and in such a short time frame of basically December and January, Gumi is just basically throwing incredibly powerful stuff to keep people pulling, which does not inspire confidence in a long-term plan. As a matter of fact, this is something that we have kind of seen before in, I do believe, Brave Frontier, where the game basically became a numbers game and a massive amount of just power creep was all that was keeping the game moving forward. Consumers on a treadmill, if you will. Here, that's very much what this feels like. It does not feel like a very well thought out plan. It just feels like incredibly powerful Super TMRs to make people spend money now, and we'll deal with the problem later. Brave Exvius has always been, and I am going to use a line from my Discord friends on the JP side, a game created without thought or consideration. I believe I nailed that, so except for the mistake. Brave Exvius is a game where it is literally trying to sell you something at all given points of time. I do think that a lot of things recently have not been particularly the most encouraging when it comes right down to this game. The general power creep on the JP side is slowed down so much right now that it's really unexciting for a whole bunch of reasons. On the global side, the power creep seems to be so high at the moment in terms of Super TMRs on limited time banners, on just a never-ending cycle of endless banners, that it feels like it's marketing in the wrong direction. It's trying too hard where JP is trying too little. Misinformation is still coming from the company, which makes it really hard to spend money too. After Beowulf last year, I have definitely really taken a lot harder looks at data after they have come out, because a lot of the times there are just things are not what they seem. And so for those reasons is why I believe that Gumi and Alim are just not that really great at marketing, and that the fundamental game problems are showing through quite well nowadays. The idea of just an idea of how to market to its community anymore, as we end either in a situation where there isn't things super powerful and we're just waiting for the characters we want, which takes a while, or just a ton of limited time units that you gotta buy now or be left behind. That's my opinion, such as it is, but definitely tried to give some thoughtful details on this one, and yeah. I guess the only question to end this, will you be pulling on Chinese New Year? Will you not? What do you think about Gumi and Alim's marketing? Not even promotion, just marketing, really, in terms of trying to sell these units to people. Because right now, I gotta say, I'm a little fatigued. Anyway, that's all for this video. I will see you next time. Regardless of what happens, I hope you guys have a wonderful Chinese New Year. Or Lunar New Year. Whatever. See you next time.